Hey everybody, we are in day 176 in our Bible reading plan, 2 Kings 1 through 3 and Proverbs 13, first 12 verses. We are starting, I believe, the 20th book of the Bible, 19 down and 20 to go, or not 20 to go, make the math, but basically exciting reading today. A lot of different stories. We start off with the last story of Elijah, who is angry, mad, frustrated at the king Ahaziah, who gets sick, and instead of seeking God in his illness, he sends to Beelzebub, the god of Ekron. And so Elijah sends a message that says, hey, you're going to die. The verse is so strong. I love this. This was one of the highlights of my reading. In chapter 1, verse 3, he says, is it because there is no God in Israel that you are going to inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron? And we ought to ask ourselves that. Where are we seeking help today? And don't we know that there is a God who can answer? And so the king is mad, and he sends soldiers to, he finds out the prophecy came from Elijah, and then he sends him soldiers 3 different times. And the first 2 times Elijah prays and fire comes down and those soldiers are killed. And by the third guy, he comes crawling and is like, please don't kill me, but I have a message from the king. And so whatever Elijah prophesied did come to pass, as has been the habit of Elijah in his life and ministry. I just love this man and his ministry. And so Elisha, his mentee, is about to take over. But before that, Elijah is going to be taken up into the heaven. How? Well, through fire, a chariot of fire this time. The Lord is so good to kind of reinforce that this is a man who honored God, and everything that he did was by the power of the Spirit. And Elisha's request to his mentor is when Elijah says to Elisha, what do you want as I die here, as I leave, as I get transitioned to heaven? Elisha says, please let there be a double portion of your Spirit on me. And what a request of wanting more of the Spirit of God. And that is granted. Elijah says, it's not mine to give, but let's see what God will do. And God gives him that. And we see right off the bat, the miracle starting to roll off of Elisha's skin. In fact, he does more miracles than Elijah ever did. And the first one is chapters 2, verse 14. He strikes the water and it parts. And then there's a cursing incident where people are mocking him for his baldness, and he curses those kids. And then we start seeing more and more miracles. Of course, he prophesies the miracle in chapter 3 where there's a drought. Now there's a war there's this coalition. Moab goes against Israel. And so there's 3 kings that join forces to fight the Moabites. And right off the bat, they hit a drought. And so they want counsel. And Jehoshaphat says, hey, there's a guy I know. And I love what he says about Elisha. He says, Jehoshaphat says, the word of the Lord is with him. May we be known as people who God's word is in us. And that would be our wisdom, not our own human wisdom, but the wisdom that comes from above. And so indeed they get Elisha, and Elisha says, hey, water is going to come up in a land of drought. He predicts, he prophesies water. And indeed this happens, and God gives victory to the kings of Israel. And then the Moabites kind of go crazy. The king of the Moabites kills his own son in an effort to, get his gods on board. And at that point, I think Israel was already the winners of the battle, and they leave because they were disgusted, and they foresaw that this Moabite king was kind of crazy, I think is what I saw there. But anyway, today's reading, a reminder that the relationships we make and the alliances we build have a much deeper impact on our lives and on our futures than we anticipate. Elisha's alliance was with Elijah. That was a good alliance. And the kings who sought the counsel of the men of God did well. Those who did not, who sought the help of the God of the world, ended up suffering for it. So who are you aligning your life with today? May it be with people of the word. Love you guys.